Welcome to Rookie Resource. My name is Ashley Kerr, and I am the co-host of the Real Estate Rookie Podcast. And welcome to our newest YouTube series, Rookie Resource. This week, we're going to be doing a 3-part series starting today, where we're going to be talking about underwriting and building out an underwriting checklist for yourself. Then next week, we're going to be talking about building out a due diligence checklist. And then the following week will be a closing checklist. So these are going to be all things that you can have in your tool belt, in your arsenal, so that when you are analyzing a deal, getting a deal under contract, and closing on that property, you have a list of things to know exactly what you need to do. One of the reasons you need to do this is because sometimes it's so easy to forget or to just completely miss a step, especially some of the simplest things. I once had my real estate agent message me the day before closing on a property and say, "Hey, you got your insurance, right?" And I did not. So luckily, I had a great insurance agent who helped me put a policy really quick in place that day before we actually closed on the property. But sometimes there are a million things going on and things come up that you don't even think will, and you'll be focused on those that you may forget the simple things that happen. Today, we're going to be talking about underwriting deals. And if you go to biggerpockets.com/resources, we'll actually have a place for you to download a template I built out for you guys to kind of follow through, and you'll be able to tailor it to specifically fit what you are investing in. So if you are going to look at this checklist I built you may see that your strategy is not apply to everything in there. For example, if you're flipping houses, there are going to be some things in here that you only need to do if you're going to have tenants and you're going to rent out the property. So just skip through whatever you don't think is actually useful to you, but make sure you're adding in things that may be more specific to your market or to your strategy. Okay, so once you've downloaded this, you can go ahead and tailor it, but let's kind of walk through some of the reasons why it's important to have an underwriting checklist, what you need to look for when actually underwriting a property, and how this can kind of make the whole transition of making an offer easier for you. So the first thing is having this checklist so you don't have to remember how to repeat the process, that you have everything written down so you're not missing a step. We're going to kind of break this down as to, the initial things. What do you initially need to know about a property before you're actually going deep into analyzing? The first thing, we're going to just look at what are the resources we have available to find information on this property. So I use Monday.com, but there's other project management boards like Asana, or you could just use a Google Sheet for this, where I have little tabs, little columns that tell me here's each of the things that I want to know about a property if it meets my buy box. So this is the initial thing. So some of these things are the address, the MLS listing, if it is one, the prop stream report, or if you use Envelo or another kind of software to actually look up information on a property, a spot for any property taxes that I can download off of the county website, I'll attach there. So that gives me my total cost of the property taxes, but also it's giving me more information onto the property too. Then any other useful information that you know that you can pull for your records. For example, if you're purchasing a property from a wholesaler or maybe from a friend, what information had they given you? Have they given you a survey? Do you have a rent roll of the property if there's tenants in place? So any information that's a quick grab up front, that's what I want to know about. And also, I'm going to look up the county records, not only for the property taxes, but I'm going to look and see how the property is zoned. I'm going to compare what they're saying. They're saying it's 4-bedroom, but the county only has it listed as a 2-bedroom. Then maybe some of that property is not up to code and was never permitted. And that might be a problem going in and purchasing the property. First, you're going to make that little criteria of what's the information you need to know that's easily accessible. You could always have a virtual assistant do this part for you. Then this is where you're going to do a little bit of digging, and it will be so helpful to have this kind of checklist with you when you go to do your showing. So you're going to write down the information of the property, and you're going to get into what kind of heat source is this? Is it a furnace? Is it a boiler? Is it electric baseboard heat? You're going to look at the electrical. Does it have fuses in it? Does it, what kind of electric? When was it updated? Does it need a new breaker box? Does it say who serviced the panel last? Okay, so breakers, fuses, anything electrical you can put in there. Your mechanics are going to be a big focus because those are going to be big expenses for you if you do need to replace anything. Then you're looking at, the bedroom, bathroom count, but also what kind of materials are in the property. So is it carpet? And you already know as a rental, you want to replace carpet in all your rentals. So you're going to need to do vinyl plank. This will really help you build out your rehab estimate too if you are planning to do a rehab. So I like to go through the property and have a checklist of like, here's all the information I need to know. Another thing too is how many outlets on the wall are there? So and then, you're going to need to know if you need to replace any of the outlets because they're not up to code anymore, how many there are. But also, if you're going to put new outlet covers, maybe switch them to white, things like that, and actually replace the outlet itself, you need to know how many to kind of get an idea of cost. Or if maybe there's only one outlet per room and you want to flip this property, an end buyer is most likely going to want more than one outlet in a room. So you'll have to add that to your cost. The first piece we've got is going through the basic information that you can pull from the internet. The second piece is going to be when you're walking the property, what are some of the things that you're finding about the property that you're noting that will actually make a difference? So also look at things that are going to give you costs. They're going to add to your expenses. And this could be maintenance. So for example, if you have a furnace in the property, you may have to replace the air filters every 6 months, every year, every 3 months, whatever it may be. That is going to be a cost to you, or something that you are going to have to write into your lease to make sure that your tenants are actually doing that, which can be hard to actually know if they are going and replacing the air filter. So looking at these different maintenance items that may come up because of the type of property and because of the materials and systems that are in the property itself will really help you underwrite and analyze the deal. Another one is lawn care. How big is the yard? Are you going to have to pay to have someone mow it? Is a tenant not going to want the property because there's so much yard to mow? The same with the driveway. If you're in an area that has snow plowing, are you going to have to hire and pay someone a lot of money because it's a huge parking lot when the tenant may only have the 1 or 2 cars, but you're going to have to pay to have the whole thing plowed? So that's with the focus of going through the property and making your checklist of these are the things that I need to know to actually estimate my rehab, estimate my expenses that are going to occur for the property. Okay, another thing that I really like to know when I'm analyzing a property and looking at a property, is there anything that is going to stand out for insurance? So for example, is this in a flood zone? Am I going to need flood insurance because I am going to be getting financing on the property? Am I going to have a hard time getting insurance? This one time I was purchasing a property that was considered a row house. And my insurance was so expensive on the property because it was so close to another building that if the other building started on fire or mine started on fire, it would be so close to start it. And it created more liability for the insurance company. So it was a very high premium. And I did not know that at the time going into it. Another thing that could be with your insurance is swimming pools. Could increase your premium. Letting the residents have a trampoline. We actually had to have somebody take their trampoline away before and take it down because our insurance came out and did an inspection of the property and they're like, yeah, that has to go. We're not even going to cover you if the tenant has a trampoline on the property. So talk to your insurance agent and find out if there is anything with the companies that they work with where it's going to be a hard time to get insured or it's going to increase your premium. And you're going to put that onto your checklist to make sure when you're going through the property, it's not one of those things. And maybe if it is, it will still make sense. I bought a property before that was in a flood zone. The insurance was $1,500 a year when we first bought it. And then over the course of 4 years, it increased to almost $2,000 a year. And it wasn't even full coverage of the property. I think it was just $80,000 it would cover for damage. And that definitely would not replace the property if it was completely flooded and ruined. So be cautious of increasing insurance expenses too. And we actually end up selling that property too. So the numbers can work if you do have weird things about your property and expenses may be higher, but maybe you're able to charge a lot of rent because of the location or whatever it may be. But add those into your checklist so at least you know what you need to be looking at. The third part about knowing and building out your underwriting checklist is the information that you need to verify. Okay, so this is information that you can look up and is almost like tangible. You can grab that information. You want to verify it. You want to verify the rent roll, that what the landlord is saying to you. And this could also be called a rent rider. Sometimes if you're buying off the MLS, this will be put into the contract by the agent. It'll be filled out by the landlord, the person selling the property. And you want to verify that information is correct, such as, do they have lease agreements to back up this information? What is the rent? What is the security deposit? You can also send estoppel agreements out. This you probably wouldn't do until you're actually under contract with the property, but you want to get lease agreements if you can when you're underwriting the deal. If not, then you need to definitely do that when you're under contract on the property. And we'll talk about that more in due diligence too. But verifying data. And the same with the property taxes, verifying that data. Any information they give you. So if it is maybe a small multifamily unit where they have, income and expenses that they're able to provide you the financial statements, then you should verify those numbers. If they're telling you, oh, we only pay $500 a year for snow plowing. Okay, you want to know who they're using, and you want to verify that it's not their son that they're paying $500 a year, that is super, super cheap to go in and plow the driveway. Okay, so verifying all of your expenses. And then the fourth piece of this is going to be doing your comparables. What do comparable properties rent for? What do comparable properties sell for? What is the market value of your property as is? If you're going to rehab the property, what is the ARV? So this whole list is kind of a template of what I use when I'm underwriting a deal to make my offer, okay? And the last step of this is building out using the BiggerPockets calculator report. So I'm taking the information that I've gathered, I'm building out my rehab budget, got my expenses, I've verified those expenses, and I'm looking at market data to see the comparables as to what I can charge for rent. So you can also go and use the BiggerPockets rent estimator too if you need help figuring out what the rent is that you can charge, especially after you're doing a rehab on a property too. Okay, so make sure you guys go to biggerpockets.com/resources and you will be able to get this template to download. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think about it. If there's other things that you have decided to add, we would love to hear them. Let's keep building out these resources. And make sure you stay tuned for next week when we're going to be talking about building out another checklist. And this checklist is going to be, once you are under contract, what kind of due diligence do you need to do on the property? Thank you for watching. I'm Ashley Kerr. You can find me at Wealth from Rentals, and you can also reach out to me on BiggerPockets. My profile is my name, Ashley Kerr. Thank you for watching, and make sure you are subscribed to the YouTube and check out the Real Estate Rookie podcast. Thank you, and we'll see you guys next week.